Hey guys, this is Sean Greenspan and welcome to the Happiness Discipline. Man, we got almost 100 episodes in and I took a little bit of a hiatus, and I actually originally took the hiatus to write my book, The Happiness Discipline, which is now complete. But as I was going through it, I wanted to wait till I feel excited to come back to the podcast. And I don't know if Debra is the one that made me excited or the energy is at will, but when I started thinking about who am I going to kick it off with, I literally asked myself, who is the smiliest person I know? And I shot Debra a text, and that was 48 hours ago, and now we're connecting. So, Debra, I really am honored to have you on the podcast, to be a friend, to work with you. I do work, my agency works with Debra. And for those that don't know, Debra is a best-selling author. She's a fitness expert, and I don't use that word loosely. I think she's one of the leading voices in helping women, 40, 50, and beyond living a vital and exciting life. I mean, I think last time I was with Debra, we were scaling the side of a mountain and we were off trail. So, and she made it extra harder on herself.
This was not on purpose.
Yes. This was, she made it extra hard on herself by wearing the cushy shoes, Debra. So that's good too. But really, if you are a woman, 40, 50 and up, or know someone, you should check out Flipping 50 TV. That's her company. She has amazing resources to help people out. I've actually, put my mom on a lot of stuff you're doing, my fiance Emma's mom. And it's just, it's amazing to see the way that you are a entrepreneur. You're leading the charge. You are living it. You're literally walking the walk. Debra's a power walker. And you always seem to have a smile on your face. And I mean, I've seen you at times where, you're transitioning technologies and team members and conferences and data isn't looking the best. And you always seem to be composed and respectful. And that's why I like working with you. It's why I'm honored to have you as a guest. So really excited about the interview we have ahead. So thanks for coming on.
Well, honored to be here, and thank you. Thank you for all that.
So Debra, you seem like one of those people that happiness just comes easily and natural to. I know that's, we'll dig into that because maybe not. Can you define the word happiness for me?
Yeah, I think that's a tough question, but I maybe bring it back a notch. But I think really in the end, it's two words come to my mind. And one is contentedness, and the other one is optimism. And it's somehow they meet in cyberspace and get married.
I love that. I think being content, I see that relation very clearly. Talk to me about the optimism standpoint, because now you're saying, content's kind of might be more present moment, but you're also saying we need to be looking with a positive outlook.
I have a very easy example, and it's probably any entrepreneur can, but I'm the spokesperson. I'm the front of the lines. And we had an incident today where I had to get into a Facebook group, and like so many things can be, something was going on contagious, and it wasn't something I wanted everybody to catch. And so I needed to counter it, but I also had to be respectful in letting them know they were heard, that I wasn't stepping over it or stepping on it, but I wanted to reframe. And what I reminded them of, and any time that you're talking to somebody else, I think you're talking to yourself, and maybe you're getting the opportunity to say out loud a lesson you yourself needed to hear again and have reinforced. The universe is funny that way. Like, it's got a sense of humor. And I had to say, I know some of you are really concerned about this new thing. We're releasing an app. And, although it's an investment of time and money and energy, and by no means would we do that if we didn't think it was going to be better for us and for every customer. But some of them are worried because, who moved the cheese is going to be there. Like, what if we don't like it? And I said, what if you like it better? What if you ask that question? Because in fairness, if you're going to ask that one, let's put the other one on. And what if it is just so much better? And so I think in saying that, I bring myself back to the same thing too. I remember I was living in Phoenix and I really loved the house I'd bought. And so it was a question of, do I really want to move? I love this house. I love my kitchen. I love the light shining through the window just like that, because I'm really good in this light. Like maybe in the new house, I won't be as good in this light. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'm forgetting that I have to ask the question, what if it's better? And Sean, it is. I'm sitting in a new house right now, and it is so much better than I could have imagined.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. First of all, thank you. I don't have some answer or definition myself. Part of it is I'm looking for that definition. That is such a beautiful way to talk about how you're practicing happiness. And that's really what the happiness discipline is about. So the word happiness and discipline, they're not usually said in the same sentence, right? But thinking about that, you by definition are putting in a practice that's saying, I have a positive outlook on life. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because it could be better. And it's very, very funny. I'm actually recording this in my dad's house, and my dad he has the book, Who Moved My Cheese. He's bought me the book, and he read it and doesn't digest it at all. He moved from apartment to apartment, and it's the exact same layout, and he set up everything the exact same, that my brother walked in and he was like geeking out, because he was like, is this literally the same thing? But what I have been playing around with in my own life. Are you familiar with the reticular activating system in the brain, RAS?
Yep.
Shopping. For those that aren't familiar, you go shopping for a Tesla. I'm actually renting a Tesla right now, and I see nothing but Teslas everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
And I study psychology. I also study applied psychology. So I understand the reticular activating system. Okay, I'm aware of Teslas. I see more Teslas. And I literally said to Emma, I said, I know how this works, but I really think there's like more Teslas here than the L. And she's like, no. She's like, that's literally the whole point of it. And it just shows that most of life gets unseen and we see what we want. And I think that's a beautiful definition, because what you're looking for and hoping for and bring into your field awareness is going to be your reality. So I really think that's an awesome definition. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the present moment. The present moment is the only place happiness can occur, right? Happiness is, it's now, right? That's when and where it is. What makes you feel the happiest in the present moment?
I don't know exactly how to put my thumb on it, but I know that there is something humorous about just everything. And, I don't know why. I don't know if it's been a practice or if I got lucky. That's the other thing. You asked me here and I'm like, maybe I'm an imposter because I was just born this way. And I also got lucky in that I gained a stepfather when I was 6, and he had a fantastic sense of humor. And he would come home with riddles. And you knew it was going to be a riddle because he'd started that way. And that's just really what you knew. There was supposed to be a laugh at the other end. And yet, I think learning that perspective that every day, you can come home with a little funny, and, I can be sitting in a meeting and just from across the room, sometimes you pick up things that are funny about something someone said, not laughing or being condescending at them, but they don't see the humor in what they've said. And yet you can. And, I think it's just nice to walk through life like that. So I'm grateful that I have it, but I now, I think knowing it, have tried to nurture it. So what makes me happy, I think, is just seeing the fun. I'm in a honeymoon period. So I've just moved to a Midwestern climate, and where I was 2 weeks ago, it is 75 today and sunny. And where I am, it is overcast and it is about to be 10 degrees in about a day. And I'm still going out, and I saw my neighbors and they're like, gosh, it was great to see your smiling face out there. And I'm like, well, I'm still in the honeymoon period. Check in with me in February,
Yeah.
But again, that's fun. It's just to be able to say it's going to be a ride. But, the other point of this is I've been to the other side of things, and we used to humorously say in our business, if nobody's bleeding or dying and you screwed up, we can fix it. And I meant that to everybody there, because we had a tragedy in the family, with a 35-year-old father of 3 taken from us way too soon in a real tragic way. And when you go through that, you suddenly realize things are not as serious as you allow them to be sometimes. And I think that has given me real perspective.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's so beautiful that your answer wasn't a material answer. It wasn't when I'm at the gym, when I'm on vacation, on a beach. It was something that can be attained for free at any time, anywhere, by anyone. There's no barrier to entry. At any time. My favorite book ever is The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. He says there's 3 laws in this world: paradox, change, and humor. Everything is funny. I love that. And I'm sorry that you had to go through, a tragedy. But I will say the intro to this podcast is that everything has a bright side to it. And maintaining that perspective is a discipline of happiness, in my opinion. I started this podcast the day my grandfather died. My grandfather was put in hospice. He couldn't swallow. He had a weak trachea. He had Parkinson's, and he was a 175-pound man that was 120 pounds. Ugh. They said a day or 2 days, everyone should fly in. I'm Jewish. In the Jewish tradition, you have you get buried and have the ceremony the next day. Whole family's in. 29 days later, my grandfather passed away with no food, and the only water he had was this sponge that we squeezed in his mouth. No water. He was on IV, right? And that 29-day period, all of my family was there.
Yeah.
29 days. I was with, my parents are split. I was with my dad Tuesdays and Fridays. I've never spent a week with my dad. I spent 29 straight days with my dad, with Aunt Phyllis, with Grandma Lois, with my cousin Cole, with my Uncle Fred, my Uncle Brad. It was a tragedy and the best month of my life.
Yep.
And those things can both be true.
Yeah.
And it's just so beautiful to hear, to feel from you that you kind of see that as well. And the other thing is, we can't control things, and you went through that tragedy, but by going through it, you now have this new perspective that no email can rustle your feathers, it's kind of what, it's actually not kind of, it's the reason I got into ultra marathons, because I was just thinking of I've been 23 hours into a run by myself with a headlamp that's dead at 3 a.m. and it was 20 degrees and sleeting. I'm not going to get bothered by a rough quarter of business. You know what I mean? Something like that. So I don't know. I really think perspective is an important thing. We're talking a little bit about the present, the happiness of the present moment, right? When do you feel the most happy? Are there times that you give yourself an excuse to not be happy?
Give myself an excuse. I would say no to give myself an excuse, but I do think I allow it. And I think I had to be told to feel it. I was told by a coach, a shaman, actually. And he's like, if you feel like laying on the couch, you should just do that. Like, and he was talking about abundance. He's like, you're going to attract abundance when you're lying on the couch. Stop working so hard. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I can buy into that one. That's not in my nature, But yeah, I do let myself feel it. And I think, letting yourself be sad in instances like that or in grief, I think it is not just okay. I think it's necessary. You have to, if you're going to feel the highs and the happiness, you have to feel the grief. But again, that is such a blessing. It is such a blessing to feel that much grief because you felt that much love.
My brother's a musician, creative, deep guy. He says there's only one emotion that he's aware of, and it's love. And everything else is under the umbrella of love. And we were talking about this. And if you really think about it, think about something that's not the opposite of love, like anger. Generally, if you're angry at something, it's because you love something that's not getting done and you want it to be there, or guilt. It's because maybe, there's like love is kind of like the energy under it all. I find that pretty interesting. I want to dive into, I want to hear a story about the shaman, but I want to dive into what does it mean to you to lay on the couch and attract abundance? Because this is something I've actually been practicing with. Oh my God, I have 80 emails? No, sit down and meditate.
Yeah.
Oh, I have 80 emails at the end of the day? No, you take your workout. Things like that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh, I think I wrestle. I think we're a little bit alike. I wrestle with having things that need to be done and not doing them. I think it's hard to leave, like, if there's a project, not feeling like I'm compelled to go and do this. I need to take care of it. It's like if I were arguing with somebody, I can't just let that go. I gotta, let's do it face to face. Let's get it out. I can't just, let's let that simmer and see what happens. It's like, no. Let's deal with this right now. So laying on the couch is a practice. Is something that I have to literally make myself do and relax and rest and realize that I think maybe part of this happiness and the energy that is always going to be there. And it's like, I don't have to push for it. I can just maybe let it come to me more like a magnet. And I think everyone is like that. I'm not unique in that. But some of us who are used to pushing and thinking, I can control this. My name is Debra. I'm a control freak, right? And I want to take charge of it, is realizing that, we think we're in control. We never really are. And, what is going to happen in part will happen. I think our decisions can make a pivot in that for sure. But you taking the workout, me doing the same, or getting the rest, not driving ourselves into the ground, things will happen that are supposed to.
Yeah. Decision making seems like a skill you need to have to be a really good and timely decision maker. If you want to take some of the kind of like advice you're sharing. And decision making can be hard with emotions and, a scattered brain. Do you have anything that helps you make decisions, or do you kind of go with your gut? Yeah. I'm curious. I'm curious how you're making decisions around happiness and your behaviors.
Yeah, I am definitely more of an emotional gut feeling kind of person.
Okay.
And this house is a really great example. I said to one of my brothers, my brother-in-law advised me not to buy this house. And, I said to my brother, I said, Ross is still talking to me, because they were like, don't do it. Yeah. And I was like, this is mine. I know it's supposed to be mine. Yeah. And I'm going to do it anyway. But I think, there are a lot of different ways to make decisions. I think some people do like total X's and O's and pros and cons. And,
Yep.
I try that too. I think logically you need to go through that process intellectually, but at the bottom of the pile, I think at the end of the day is follow your gut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's actually dive into that.
Yeah.
What does follow your gut mean? Like, can you explain is there a feeling in your body, in your head? Well, yeah, what does that feel like to follow your gut?
It's, I think, going back and being that 5-year-old, like, I want this. I stood in a store with my stepdad and my mom. She left. She couldn't take it anymore. They were married for the first 6 months, and we were standing in a store, and he, for whatever reason, while I was in first grade, wanted to buy me a really nice winter coat, a white stag coat. And that was a big deal back in the day, by the way. So we walk into this store, and he wanted to buy me a brown teddy bear coat, like a furry coat. And I was like, no, I want the navy one.
Yeah.
And my mother was mortified because I just stood there like stubbornly for half an hour. There was no way I was going to wear a brown coat. Brown was ugly. I wanted blue. And my mother had to leave. She's like, what are you doing? He's going to divorce us. He's going to wonder what he was doing. She had to leave the store. Well, I walked out with a blue coat.
Yeah.
And I had that until like 5 years ago. My mother made sure that I had it because it was like, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny. People say go with your gut a lot.
Yeah.
And I hired a life coach 4 years ago that he goes, I'm going to do one thing for you, and I'm going to teach you the language of the body. So, cool. Let's learn a new language. And it was funny because at the time, I was dealing with, it couldn't have been more of a first world problem, by the way, but it was still, I thought, a big thing. I had a business that really required my attention that I was proud of and growing, but I was, the main operator. Emma just went through knee surgery and, being in a relationship, she's going to be on the couch for 2 weeks. We did fly back to our parents' vet, so she had caretaker, but like emotionally and logistically, you want to be there. Mm-hmm. And there was a group of top entrepreneurs that my friend ran, and it was a $28,000 2-week trip to Africa, see the gorillas, network with these people that he was gifting to me for free if I could capture content there. And they were all over the same time. And I was like, whoa, where do I spend my time? Right. And I was waffling on it. And like, that's not something you can write a pros and cons list. And I'm kind of a pros and cons guy. You just can't. Like, how can you say, oh, do I spend time with Emma? It's like, it just doesn't really sit. And he was like, Sean, this is a good example. I'm going to teach you the language of the body. He goes, I said, okay. He goes, close your eyes. And I closed my eyes. He goes, just think about the situation. I said, yeah. And he goes, now without using your words, like act it out. And I kind of went like this. And he was like, okay. Clench your jaw, clench your fist. He's like, what does that energy feel like to you? And I was like, it's got to be resisting something, like some negative. And he was like, cool. So you were not taking the trip. Like really clear, we're not taking the trip, right? And I have taken that lesson and used it for everything I've done for signing new clients, signing new employees, taking a trip or whatever, right? Like, this weekend, I have a lot going on in business right now. My best friend wants to take Friday off and do a full day hike. I'm never back home, never see him. That's a yes. That's an easy yes. Mm-hmm. No one's going to die or bleed out, right? Like you said, everything will be fine. And it's funny because I originally started thinking, oh, can I take off work, whatever? And I think you need to go with your gut. And I've just found that like really feeling the energy of the body. Like I felt like almost like a lifting energy from my chest when I was like thinking about it. And I was like, kind of like rising into like my throat and head. And I was like, I don't know. It just felt like good energy. I wanted to like leap into. Yeah. I think sometimes just going with that is good.
Yeah, totally agree. I had a dilemma about a year and a half ago. I had an opportunity to go to a women's retreat. And it was a small group there's like 5 or 6 people, and it was falling on the same weekend as my 60th birthday. And she was talking about this in the future. I was like, yeah, I'm in. And then I'm like, when? And she's like, well, it's in March. And I'm like, what date would that be? Yeah. And my niece and her 3 nephews, and this was the wife of the family member who'd been killed. I was very close to her, since and helping the boys get through it and everything. And they were coming to celebrate my 60th birthday. It was their spring break. And then I was torn. I was like, there's this exclusive business thing. I've been invited to do this, really wanted to. And then I'm like, And then, so I sat with it for a minute, and I'm like, had to call her back. And I said, Carrie, it's a no. I've already said yes to my family. I mean, it's a no. And so lo and behold, that mastermind got rescheduled to a date in May. So I was able to do both.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's it's letting go. It's trust. It's confidence in the world, right? I looked up the word. So I went on a Wim Hof retreat. And that was magical.
Wow.
I am to this day, if anyone's listening and hasn't seen my episode with Wim Hof, it's as good as it gets. I mean, Wim has been a good friend of mine since. I think he's actually coming to my wedding, which is going to be so cool. I was like, you got to lead something, Wim. And I was in the presence of a healer. And I don't know how to say it any other freaking way than I was in the presence of a healer. And I'm smart enough to know it's not the breathing or the cold, right? And there's a third pillar, and it's your mental strength. And I just kept coming back to the word confidence. I was like, Wim has enough confidence to change my body's biology and chemistry just by his presence. And I feel that. And even just through his books and through right now, he's in Australia with his new wife. I feel his energy from here, and I haven't talked to him today or this week or anything. It's that much confidence. And the word confidence was like ringing in my head during this breath work. And it's funny because I went back and I looked up like the root of the word, like, Latin, and it's con, which is like with, and fidero, which is faith. So it's having faith. So then I looked up, what's the definition of faith, right? And faith is believing something without like empirical evidence, right? It's not, you don't need to see the proof. You just believe in it. Right?
Yeah.
Like 2 + 2 is 4. We can see that. But 2 has the value of 2 and 2 has the value of 2. We're just believing that part, right? Like everything needs like a faith. I personally am not religious. I had a friend that I was like, hey, you've been studying the Bible, going to church. Like, talk to me about why he just chose being Christian. He wasn't raised that way. And he's like, and I love the way he said it. He goes, I choose to believe that Jesus is the Son of God. And I said, thank you for saying it that way versus telling me that Jesus is the Son of God, because it's not about, if I don't believe it, you tell me all day. It's not going to change my life.
Right.
And I said, why'd you say it like that? And he goes, because I could tell you it's in the Bible, but then who wrote the Bible? Where did the Bible come from? When did the Bible come in? He goes, I'm choosing to believe this. And because of that's like, people call religion faith, right? And, kind of just like looping it all back. Like, I think having like the confidence in yourself moves energy more than anything that we could do could ever happen, So, you totally did create a world where you could spend time with your family for your 60th birthday, and you could go to that retreat because like even the way you said it to me gave me like goosebumps. You're like, it's a no, right? Not like, I'm thinking this, because then there's conjecture, you're opening it up. You're just saying it's a no. Like I'm at peace with it being a no, right? Like you had so much confidence that the world like had to orient around you because you were clear.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
That's such a beautiful example there. So something I want to talk about a little more practically, right? Let's talk about being unconditionally happy. So sneak peek, the book is The Happiness Discipline. Also, like I've been writing this book over like years. So like this is all like in my brain. I've never written a book. I got to take it more serious, and it all goes on in my brain. I got to get it out. But the book's title is The Happiness Discipline, and the subtitle is Practicing Unconditional Happiness. Now, what I mean by unconditional happiness is you can be in the Midwest where it's cold and gray and maybe you don't know people, you don't have the community, or you could be in sunny Arizona with all your friends and trails. But those actually have zero, not some, zero impact on your happiness. You could have a business that's successful and flourishing that you're completely out of, you're in when you want. All you do is speak and do podcasts, or you have a business that you're the operator and you're like, how do I get the SEO optimized for our YouTube videos and how all the good stuff. How do you maintain happiness when the material world would say you shouldn't be happy, right? It's cold and gray and you're behind a laptop doing analytics or paying bills or whatever.
Well, it's an internal job. It's not an externally influenced thing. I mean, there are people who have everything tangible, status-wise, and are not very happy people. We've met them. We've all met them, you know? And so we know it's not the cumulative effect of what you have or what's around you. It's a definite internal thing that you can see the good or see the, you know, the small little things. Honestly, I think I have a dog. I think that makes it really easy.
A cute dog.
He's adorable, right? Thank God. But, you know, I mean, they just seem to smile all the time. They're really good examples of, you know, I can scold him or, you know, pull his leash a little too hard, and the next second he's like, you know, loving on me. I mean, they don't hold grudges. They just are happy and they're just glad to be there. And I think through the eyes of a dog, you know, I can see things, and it's just so humorous, like, you know, watching him explore snow for the first time. So I mean, I'm just giving examples of in an everyday life. There's nothing magical about whether the first time we moved to the desert, you know, that was new for a dog I had then. And it was all just so, you know, watching it unfold and how this was so fun. And I think if you experience everything like that, like there is something around the corner that, you know, is going to be great. And I don't mean that it has to be changed. Like right now, you know, you're just, all you have to do is look, it's right there.
Yeah. I appreciate that, that point of view. I think the dog example and the baby example is as good as it gets, right? I actually wrote a blog about dogs and babies. And I said, I think we have a great relationship with them because they can't talk. Because we can basically only communicate like good or bad energy towards each other. That's about the extent of it.
So true.
And it's funny because I think everyone thinks, oh, like humans have the prefrontal cortex, like we're better than everybody. I don't know if that's the case. I think it complicates a lot of things where like, again, like, I don't know, you can have good energy towards a tree or bad energy, I guess, and chop it down, right? Like that's about it, right? Like these things that like can't communicate so clearly and have to commute with energy, just like, you know, like really think about the way you communicate with like a baby. The only energy you can give is, you're going through that right now, right?
Yeah.
The only energy you can give, because it doesn't understand, is like good vibes or bad vibes. Unless it's really, really bad, same with a dog, you're gonna give it good vibes. Like, why would you give it anything else? Because if you give it neutral vibe, it's up for conjecture. You can't explain yourself. So you have to give like over the top excited vibes. And it's like, it's so funny because I wrote, the blog was about my vision of a world if we didn't talk to each other and what that would be like. Not that it's better or worse, just, I don't know what it would be like.
Yeah, that is so true. It's, you know, it's funny. So I'm in this new house and there was a delay in getting the cable and the internet hooked up. So we had Thanksgiving and they came over and I was like, there's not going to be any football here. I'm so sorry. And I thought they're not going to stay very long. But what we ended up doing was just hilarious. So, we were all like making baby faces at the baby and just talking and making sounds, at the baby, trying to get the baby to talk back, quote unquote. Yeah. And it was just like, this is so great. We wouldn't do this if we were staring at a television. It's just kind of like we're all like here in the same present moment. And we're probably each individually having our own experience. We're watching the baby, but I'm actually watching my son watching the baby, and so it was just like, this is just so rich, and it was like total positive energy. Like everything is magical because you're seeing it again through somebody's eyes the first time.
Yeah. That's cool. Lately, just like something that's been on my mind is this less is more concept. Like just challenging the status quo. Is talking better? Is having a TV better? Right?
Yeah.
This was this time last year. So my dad has a 75-inch TV with surround sound speakers that is on and on full volume every second, like all night. He keeps it on. He likes the background noise. It's always on. Unless now I'm here, he's at the office, then it's for sure off. I'm in the office. There's a 50-inch TV here. He has a TV in his bedroom. It's like there's so much TV, and you think like, oh, like it's good to have the option, but it's going back to like the reticular activating system and like understanding their psychology, and then there's applied psychology, and like just because you know something doesn't mean you can apply it. It's a distraction. It's a form of a distraction. So we were here last year, and I said, Dad, can we just turn the TV off for the night? Like, just no technology. I was like, I know I'm on my phone. I'll put my phone away. Like, let's just sit. And 5 minutes in, it had to be 3 minutes. My dad started crying in our conversation. He was like, yeah, what do you want to talk about? And then he just goes, well, he asked me what I want to talk about, and then cut himself up. He's like, well, I actually wanted to share blah, blah, blah. And it was good, happy tears. It was that he's like, I'm so happy that you were here with Emma, but now you're just here by yourself. I'm seeing you grow up. It was just after I got engaged. And he like, all this thing, he started bawling. I was like, well, that was worth missing a commercial break.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It just, I don't know. It's really funny. And yeah, going back to happiness, the second question I asked you was like, when do you feel happiness the most? For me, it's when I'm single tasking. And I'll tell you, like, I love multitasking. I love it. And I'm trying to not, because I like single tasking even more. I X'd out of my email. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb for this podcast. I mean, it's bad. I've been on podcasts before that I've hosted when I started, and I would like click on email, just make sure there's no fire, right? It's like, dude, if that's the case, just don't do the podcast, right? Like if you, it's just funny. I think I've realized anytime I'm single tasking and I'm the happiest. And I think part of that is because if I'm single tasking, I'm choosing to like really commit to something, right? Like you wouldn't single task on a meaningless thing, I guess.
Right. Yeah, so true. Yeah, and I think we all are. I think it's almost a societal thing. We're conditioned to want to like multitask, and it's almost like adrenaline. Yeah. Right? Like it's just like, can I beat the system, so to speak? and yeah, I do too. But then after, I notice I'm just exhausted. Right? It's like there's a catch up. You do end up paying for it. Yeah, that's such a great example. Okay, I'm taking that one. Taking that one from the show.
Single tasking.
Single tasking.
Well, there's definitely some things I'm going to be walking away from here that I've learned from you. I know we only have a few minutes left. I want to ask, is there anything that you are going to do differently today after thinking about this conversation?
Yeah, I have a couple. I have a podcast interview of my own. I have a client meeting. And I think single tasking, really focusing, because it's so very easy to have another tab open, sneak a peek at, that thing over there. And, you miss that person's energy coming back to you, but you also miss really sending them your full energy.
Mm-hmm. I don't know which one's more important. Sending the energy, because I've noticed with myself, with other people, with my team on morning calls, people talk, and then what other people are talking, and they are a little engaged, but they're not as engaged as when they're talking.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if you empty a tank all day and never refill it?
Yeah.
You're just inherently gonna be out of energy at the end of the day versus like, oh, let me hear what Debra's got to say.
Mm-hmm. So true. Yeah.
Well, I think that's beautiful. Hopefully you also lay on the couch. I know that's you. Spend all afternoon on the couch. I was like, do you even have a couch in your new spot?
I don't. The dog has a couch. Yeah.
Okay, good. The dog has a couch. You just have like your treadmill and then guest treadmills.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh man. Well, Debra, I'm just so grateful for your time and your energy and your single tasking on this podcast. And I can't wait till I see you in person next. Maybe in January, I think.
Yeah.
So I hope you have an awesome end of the day. And
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the Happiness Discipline.
Thanks for having me.